first a little, when you talked about mental aid, it made me think of something, and that is that, and this is a little lesson for you if you're married. When I first got married, we had a problem. I was a mental aid man, and my wife is a Vicks person. So, lesson number one, help the economy. So what we do is we buy both. Anyway, thank you, Corey, and thank you for coming today. I just want to talk briefly about kind of the mission of Network Kansas and what we do. I would say, listening to how Corey described the Entrepreneurial Institute, I would say that our role in that primarily is going to be connector. And I'll briefly describe how we help in doing that. But the first thing I want to do is emphasize something that that's very important, and that is, and I don't know, the University of Kansas did a study on job creation, and what they found is that from 1990 to 2004, that 96.8% of all the jobs created in the state of Kansas were created by businesses that were already here. They were created by startups, and they were created by businesses that were here that were expanding. So small business is a key element to the growth of our economy here in Kansas. We have to focus on helping businesses that are here. And by the way, almost 60% of those jobs were created by startup businesses. So if we're looking for job growth in the future for the state of Kansas, what we have to look for are those entrepreneurs and those people who are going to start jobs. Now, the state of Kansas, about 4 or 5 years ago, decided that it was important to focus an element of what the state does in their strategic strategy on small business. And one of the things they found, and what they did is they went around the state, they held town hall meetings, they talked to people, and one of the things they found is that there are lots of different resources that help businesses. But for whatever reason, people don't know which ones to go to. And so one of the things they wanted to do was they wanted to create a place where somebody could call in or go to a website, kind of put some information in about what their issues, and find out, are there resources available that can help them? And so the Kansas Center for Entrepreneurship was created, and that was in the Kansas Economic Growth Act of 2004. I always like to say we're the one that didn't get the $580 million, which is the Kansas Biosciences Authority, but we were focused on helping small businesses throughout the state. And so one of the first things that we did is that we went around the state and talked to all of these resources. Now, I come from the private sector, so I didn't know, I started my own business and got no help from any resources, largely because I thought I had to pay for everything, you know. And what you'll find is that when you talk to Dave, that a lot of these resources are available for free. And so what we did is we developed a network of resource partners. Now, these are any public sector organization or private foundation that provides some type of business building services to entrepreneurs across the state. And so we launched Network Kansas in March of 2006 with 260 or so partners. We now have almost 500 partners across the state that are part of that network. So if you call into us and you need some assistance, we have a postcard, and if you know people out there that are thinking about starting a business, you know people who have businesses and they might need some assistance, you can give them this and call us, and we, as it says in here, we don't know the answers, but we know who does. And that's really what our role is. So if someone calls into us, we will call our different various partners. I was in a meeting with our referral coordinators, and they said that it could be one call. They may talk to 3 or 4 or 5 partners across the state, and then we will facilitate a connection for that entrepreneur to that resource partner. We call that our expertise matrix. We believe that entrepreneurs need one of 3 types of resources at some point: education, expertise, or economic resources. Now the second area that we work in is we do have some money. Okay, we have a program called Startup Kansas where we provide matching loans to businesses throughout the state and rural communities. We also have another program called Entrepreneurship Communities where we actually partner with communities. They set up their own leadership team and they make the decisions at the local level with funds that we partner with to provide. And so that's just a little bit about NetWork Kansas. The reason I wanted to talk about the money second is because a lot of times entrepreneurs think they want the money before they're quite ready to get, and I see a nodding from the person who's going to be speaking, so that's good. And I think it's a good segue into one of the most important resources that we have, and that's the Kansas Small Business Development Center. And they are a resource, and Dave will talk about, that can help get that entrepreneur ready for the funds. You know, Eric and I say I was an entrepreneur. I bought one business, I started one business. I'm one out of two. The one that I lost money on, I wish I would have been talking to somebody earlier in the process before I did get the money. So with that, I'm going to introduce the Small Business Development Center consultant, Dave May.